Hi everyone, welcome to another Fpl Gameweek video. My name is Leon and I'm your FPL consultant. And today we'll be looking at our reactions for Game Week 9, followed by any changes that I'll be making, as well as my team for Game Week 10. And then after that, we'll be looking at some players on our watch list, players that we may want to bring in the near future. And yeah, so I hope you find this video useful and interesting. And be sure to like, share and subscribe, and let's get straight to our Game Week 9 team. So this is my score for Game Week 9. Yes, there were a few surprises, a lot of hat tricks, a lot of what ifs, but to come away with 93 points when the overall average was 64, I think we did pretty okay. So first in goal, Ramsdale with 3 points. I was a little disappointed not to get the extra points for the clean sheet because Arsenal was actually playing pretty well in the first half. And Aston Villa hardly threatened them. But in the second half, Aston Villa really picked up, and I can't be too disappointed as well because it was a peach of a goal from Jacob Ramsey into the top corner. So nothing much to complain about there. I am considering transferring Ramsdale out for Sanchez if I have extra transfers and not need to make any transfers due to injuries. So it is something that is on my mind. Moving on, I actually started with a 4-4-2 formation with Azpilicueta in my backline. But as we all know, Tuchel rotated and went for Reece James for the Norwich game, so I didn't get clean sheet points for that game, though I accurately predicted it would be an easy clean sheet for Chelsea, so I'm quite gutted about that. But what really did it for my backline was the Man City game. And I was watching the game and somehow I just felt the Brighton goal was coming in the second half. But for it to come the way it did, Ederson coming off his line and tripping Mwepu to concede a penalty and then almost saving the penalty. It was just heartbreaking. And once again, for the second week in a row, the Diaz and Cancelo double does not pay full dividends. So quite disappointing there. There were some bright moments though. And of course, we have to mention Livramento because he's one hell of a fullback. He played a superb game for Southampton over the weekend, got himself his first Premier League goal. The 18-year-old is definitely someone I'm going to keep in my team for a while, and he's also such good value at 4.4 mil. Moving on to our midfield, we have Phil Foden, who got an 18-point haul, and to be fair, both of the goals were almost not credited to him. And there was talk of the first one being an own goal by the Brighton defender, and also the talk of his second goal initially being awarded to Jesus. But in the end, he got both goals as well as 3 bonus points, so happy days there. And Rafinha, Mbeumo, and also Norman, who came in for Azpilicueta, all blanked. But thank God for Salah. He really saved my midfield and my team in general. And what's there to say? He is the man of the moment. 3 goals and assists, 3 bonus points to his name. Extremely top draw. I trusted him with the armband. Initially thought of putting it on Vardy, but thankfully I reverted to Salah and he repaid my trust. Lastly, in the front, we have Vardy, who blanked and came off at halftime due to an injury. And we are going to talk about injuries later on in the video because there are a couple of injuries and we have to assess whether we would have to change our strategy. So finally, we have Hwang. Now, this guy just has that knack for goals. Sometimes when you watch football, you can just identify players who know how to be at the right place at the right time, and that for me is just Hwang. Always popping up with the goods, and if not for his goal, Wolves would have lost. So awesome job from Hwang, and 2 nice bonus points to go with it as well. As for my bench, there wasn't too many surprises there apart from Azpilicueta ending up on my bench. So Foster 1 point and the rest blanking. So all in all, green arrows, happy days. I managed to move my team up to the top 16k. And considering over 8 million people play FPL, I am quite happy to be in this position at the moment. Also ranking 238 in Singapore. It is quite incredible, to be honest. And just gonna keep working on my team and let's try to keep making good decisions. So let's move on to some of the changes that we'll be making in preparation for Game Week 10. So this is my unchanged team from Game Week 9, and this would have been the team that I'd go into Game Week 10 with. And to be honest, before the games this game week, I probably think this was quite a strong lineup. All mostly playing green fixtures, with some having grey fixtures, and slightly tougher opponents. And everything was in line with my plan to bring Trent back, who I left out of my wildcard because he was injured at the time when I was wildcarding. But looking at this team on Saturday after the Game Week 9 deadline, the major problem that I had was that there was too much money on the bench. And Lukaku doesn't seem like he's going to come back anytime soon. And his price had already dropped to however much I bought him for, which was 11.6 mil. So I know if I didn't want to lose any money on Lukaku, I had to make the changes quickly. And when it came to looking for a replacement for Lukaku, I didn't want to downgrade him to an Antonio or Jimenez just because I wanted the flexibility to do a straight swap back to Lukaku or Ronaldo if I needed to in the future. So it made sense for me to look to Kane. And later on, when we discuss the lineup, I will share how his fixtures actually line up really nicely, Harry Kane. So yeah, I wanted to go for this change, and I only had 0.1 in the bank, so I needed an extra 0.4 mil. So initially, I brought in Azpilicueta during my wildcard only because he was the most nailed defender, and Reece James was injured at that time. So Azpilicueta was getting some joy playing at right wing back and getting a couple of assists. But I already knew I wanted to transfer him out for a cheaper defender, and when the time came, honestly, at this moment, there is no better Chelsea defender to look to other than Ben Chilwell. I will elaborate more on him later on, but for now, focusing on this transfer, this was an ideal situation, and it will leave me with two very good options moving forward. So at this point on Saturday, I was faced with a decision whether I wanted to make these two transfers early and delay bringing Trent in again, and also risk not having any transfers left, or wait out, save my transfers, but potentially be unable to make this switch anymore. So, after thinking long and hard, I decided to take the risk, make the transfers, and hope that my players don't get injured, which we will see that actually most of them got injured, but I will discuss the injuries later on, but they do not seem to be so serious, so it could be said that the risk actually paid off. But let's see. Yeah, so I made the transfers on Saturday morning, and true enough, on Sunday, Lukaku's price dropped and Chilwell's price rose, so I'm quite glad I made the transfer early. So with these changes made, let's look at how our provisional Game Week 10 lineup looks. So in goal this week, I've opted to go for Foster over Ramsdale, just because Southampton have found it slightly harder to score this season, and a clean sheet for Foster just seems slightly more likely than a clean sheet for Ramsdale, who plays Leicester. So Foster goes in goal for us. Next up in defense is our new buy Ben Chilwell, and I am going to talk a little bit about Ben Chilwell now, how he plays and the goals he's been getting. So currently he's playing left wing back for Chelsea, but if we analyze his play more, we can see that he plays more of a number 10 role in some phases of the game, and this is because he drifts all the way into the middle of the park to fill that gap in the middle, and that's why he finds himself with the ball outside the penalty box quite often. And this definitely presents more opportunities for us to get some attacking returns from Chilwell as well. And yeah, also he's been in superb form the past 2 game weeks with 2 goals consecutively. So it does seem like he's regained the left wing back spot that he lost to Alonso earlier on in the season. And yeah, he plays Newcastle away this week, so definitely a game that he can get some returns for us. And let's hope for double figures from my boy Chilwell. Next up in defense is Ruben Dias. Not much to say there. He's one of the more nailed players for City, though he did get rested 2 weeks ago, but that's because Pep probably decided to be safe with him. But we do expect him to start against Crystal Palace, and hopefully this week City can hold out for the clean sheet. So next up we have Cancelo, and we're definitely hoping for assists and clean sheets from him. Hopefully he will bring a double-digit haul as well, and he looks more likely to start over Zinchenko and Walker. So if Pep decides to bench one of them, it does seem that he will bench either Walker or Zinchenko. So Cancelo seems more nailed, and yeah, hopefully we will get once again a clean sheet from City as well. And moving on to our midfield, we have Phil Foden. He is coming off a good vein of form. 2 goals the last game, and his expected goals per 90 now is at a remarkable 0.51. So he's expected to score a goal in every 2 matches he plays. So let's hope he brings in the goods again for a second week running. Next up, Rafinha. Now he's playing Norwich, which definitely is an easy fixture, and we do expect him to get returns if he plays. And the main concern here is the injury that he has. So thankfully, he's come out to say on Twitter that he's fine, and that he'll be back soon. Now, we know soon is not very precise, but I'd say there's a good chance he'll be alright to play the Norwich game. So let's keep a lookout for the news in the coming days. And nonetheless, if he does not play, we do have a strong bench, a strong playing bench as well. And we don't have to be too worried about him not playing, because we do have players to come off the bench for him. So next up, we have Salah. He is the main man at the moment. He's playing Brighton at Anfield, so definitely we favour him for returns. And Salah is really non-negotiable. You just have to have him in your team. If not, you just lose out to everyone else who just has him. Next up, we have Mbeumo. Now, Thomas Frank said that Mbeumo came off due to a minor hamstring injury that should not keep him out for too long, and hopefully he will be back in time for Saturday's game. So I'm definitely hoping that he'll be fit for the game against Burnley. But on the balance of things now, as it stands, it doesn't seem too serious. So fingers crossed that he'll be okay. If he does miss this game week, we do have players to come on for him, but it does not seem as if he will be out for a long time. So if he misses this game week, it seems he will come back for the next game week, so not too much of an issue there. And moving on to our forwards, first up we have Jamie Vardy. Now the news is that he actually injured his knee in the warm-up against Brentford, but he said he was fine to carry on. Rodgers felt that he wasn't 100% and didn't want to risk him, so took him off at halftime. So we don't know if he aggravated his injury in any way. And we also don't know whether he was actually okay to carry on, but it was more of a precautionary thing for Rodgers to take him off. But what I would say is that in general, we know knee injuries take a longer time to recover from, even if it's a small injury. So I would say he is the greatest concern out of all the 3 injuries I have in my team this week. But we will put him in a team, and if he doesn't play, we'll just have to call on our subs. And lastly, we have Hwang. He's playing Everton at home, not necessarily an easy fixture by any means, but definitely a fixture that he can prove to be the difference with his positioning, clinical finishing. So let's hope he will get us some returns this week. And last but not least, we have the man Harry Kane. He's playing Man U this week at home. Man U, as we all know, just came off an absolute mauling by Liverpool, and their confidence just isn't high at the moment. Their defense is shaky. Midfield is shaky, whole team is shaky, so there is a good chance that Kane can get some joy and give us some good returns this week. So looking at his fixtures as well, apart from Everton the following week, they look really decent, and that was also one of the key reasons why I brought him in this week, so that I can catch the run of these good fixtures and maybe even a price rise during this period of time. So hoping for the best here. And so that's our starting 11. And on the bench, we have Ramsdale, Livramento, Norman, and Duffy. And apart from Duffy that didn't start the previous game, who faces Liverpool at Anfield, we have quite a strong bench, and we don't really need to be too worried about the injuries we have in the team currently. But of course, we are taking a risk here by keeping all these 3 injuries that I have in the team and not transferring them out. But I do feel that they won't be out for too long. Even if they miss this game week, they should be back for the next one. So let's hope that not all of them end up on the bench or not even in the lineup, because if that's the case, then we would be in a terrible situation. So we are going to give the captain's armband to the main man Mo Salah, because he's just so good at the moment. I see no reason why we should shift the armband away from him, especially when he's playing at Anfield. But we will go ahead and make Kane our vice captain, just to go for more of a differential vice captain should anything happen to Salah, which I doubt anything would. So this is how we're going in to Game Week 10. Finally, for the last part of this video, we are going to talk about some players we should keep a lookout for. And first, let's have a look at Mason Mount. Now, he's not really played a lot this season, or at least not as much as we would like him to. And he was given a start against Norwich, and yeah, he just bangs 3 goals into the net. Definitely showing Tuchel that he still got it, and Tuchel is definitely going to have to consider seriously fitting Mount back into this Chelsea team, And as for us FPL managers, he is slightly more on the pricey side, 7.5 mil. But if you have enough money and the transfers to do so, he is someone definitely that we would want to keep an eye out for. And next up, we have Emil Smith-Rowe. And I've always rated ESR highly in the Arsenal team. I do consider him one of their key players, and he's extremely strong, talented, picks the right passes, and has a good shot as well. This week, he came off with a 13-point haul, and with Watford and Newcastle coming up, we can definitely consider him. He is also a cheaper option, which means he's a good option for us if you want to downgrade from Sa or Benrahma if you still have these two players. And lastly, we have Tielemans. He's been in a rich vein of form recently, back-to-back goals for Leicester. He's already had 3 goals and 2 assists to his name this season. He is also on penalties for Leicester, of course behind Jamie Vardy, but with Vardy nursing this knee injury, there is a possibility he misses out, and if Tielemans steps in for pens, then he is going to be a really attractive asset. So there we have it, our 3 watchlist players. Hopefully you guys find this information useful. And these players are definitely attractive alternatives. There's one in the 5 mil bracket, one in the 6 mil bracket, and one in the 7 mil bracket. So you guys can consider the ones within your budget. So that's it for this video. Be sure to submit your teams before the deadline. And I'll be posting my finalized team on Instagram at FPL_consult. Should any changes present itself within these next few days, but let's hope for now we don't have to make any major changes or transfers. So thanks so much for watching, guys. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And see you back here next Thursday for our next game week video. Bye bye.